The 2022 Orbea Orca Aero is the latest and greatest aero road bike from the Basque brand. Heavily inspired by the brand's time trial bike, the Ordu, the new Orca Aero promises time trial speed in road bike form. But does it deliver? Can it bridge the gap between straight line speed and rapid handling? Well, I've been putting this bike through its paces over the last few weeks, and I can confidently say that it is a very fast bike indeed. With its deep section, kammtail aerofoil tube shapes, drop seat stays, and a flared fork optimised specifically for deep section wheels, the new Orca Aero is every bit the modern aero race bike. Of course, those aren't the only features designed to minimise aerodynamic drag. Now, I'm sure that many of you have already formulated some spicy opinions on the Aero water bottle and the down tube storage box, and I will tell you my thoughts on them a little bit later in the video, but let me know what you think about them in the comments below. In terms of headline figures, Orbea claims that this new version of the Orca Aero saves a rider 15 watts at 40 kilometers per hour compared to the outgoing model. And while I haven't been able to confirm those claims in a wind tunnel, I can say that this bike feels every bit as fast as the best aero bikes currently available. But before I tell you about where this stands in the pantheon of go fast race bikes, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell icon, so every time we upload a video, you'll get a notification. My test bike is, per cycling industry Illuminati requirements, the top spec model in the new Orca Aero range. Officially, it's called the Orbea Orca Aero M10i Limited. As such, it has the brand new Shimano Dura Ace Di2 R9200 group set, plus the new Shimano Dura Ace C50 TL wheel set, a tubeless ready carbon wheel set with 50mm deep rims. The wheels are shod with 700x25C Vittoria Corsa TLR G2 tubeless ready tyres, although my test bike came set up with inner tubes, and the build is finished with a Pro Logo Dimension T4 saddle, plus an array of elegant carbon and aluminium finishing kit made by Orbea. All things considered, there's practically nothing I'd want to swap out for performance reasons alone. Of course, all that kit doesn't come cheap, with this World Tour spec model coming in at a cool £9,599 or $9,999. As already mentioned, this bike has the new 12-speed Dura Ace R9200 group set, and as it's still so new and shiny, and this is my first time using it, I'm going to quickly touch on the performance of the new group set. My first impressions are that the shifts at the rear are as quick and accurate as ever, but the front shifting in particular is phenomenal. On the whole, the group set works almost flawlessly. The accuracy and speed of the shifting is very impressive, but it's the less obvious details that also impress me. One of which is that Shimano has updated the shifter hood ergonomics. They've gained a little bit of height and size over the previous Di2 shifters, and as someone who often likes to hold the top of the hoods and hook a single finger under the brake lever, I really appreciate the extra girth available. Braking is also unsurprisingly fantastic, with heaps of power available. Things do still get a little bit noisy in the wet or after dragging the brakes on long descents, but given this bike is fitted with the outgoing rotors, it's possible that the newer RT M900 rotors may perform slightly better in that regard. If you're interested in a video where we fully dissect the new Shimano Dura Ace, there's a link to one in the description below. With the group set out of the way, let's talk about the extra aero accessories you get with this bike. The storage box and the Aero Bottle, which have come straight from the Ordu TT bike. I'm going to start by making it clear that they are both optional. So just hold fire before you hit send on any angry comments decrying impractical, non-standard parts. The storage box below the down tube can be detached, and the Aero Bottle can be replaced with regular bottle cages if you so desire. But let me tell you a little secret. I love the idea behind both parts. It's great to see a brand thinking practically and looking at solutions to the way we carry things on the bike, like water and spares. The Aero Storage Box, for example, eliminates the need to use a saddlebag or to carry spares in your jersey pockets, and according to Orbea, it makes the bike a little more slippery too, with no discernible downsides. It's also worth pointing out that it's banned by the UCI in their governed races, so don't expect to see any pros using it, but us normal, non-pro cyclists obviously don't need to worry about that. And in my opinion, this one is a win. I was slightly less enamoured with the Aero Bottle. It would clearly be ideal for a short time trial or a triathlon, but for general road riding or racing, it's simply not as easy to use as standard round bottles, which in my opinion is a deal breaker for bunch riding. It also only has a 500 milliliter capacity, despite it taking up a fair chunk of real estate on the down tube. So after one ride, I took it off and mounted 2 standard bottle cages. There wasn't a noticeable performance detriment for doing this, but the edges of a standard round bottle do clearly protrude beyond the edges of the down tube, so there is likely a small aero trade-off for this. I'm splitting hairs, but I think the BMC Time Machine RO1 solution of having aero bottle cages and a down tube design which manages the airflow around standard round bottles is a better one for a road bike where, more often than not, you'll probably be carrying 2 bottles. Now, let's get into the part you're all here for, the ride. It's designed to go fast, but does the Orca Aero actually live up to the lofty claims? Put simply, yes, it does. Out on the road, the Orca Aero feels every bit the cutting-edge aero road bike. It really is very fast. The best aero road bikes, like the Cannondale System 6, the Felt AR, Merida Reacto, and others like it, have this wonderful ability to sail along flat and rolling roads with noticeably less effort. And the new Orca Aero has that in spades too. Speaking of the Cannondale System 6, when I reviewed it last year, I said that there are few aero bikes that come close to matching the sensation of speed you get with the System 6, and the new Orca Aero pushes the Cannondale really close. Subjectively, it doesn't feel quite as rapid as the System 6, but I'd be tempted to attribute this to the slightly shallower and narrower wheel set the Orbea has. It could also just be that I've been testing the bikes under 2 very different conditions, and those conditions aren't favouring the Orbea. The margins are very fine. Either way, the Orca Aero doesn't disappoint for flat out speed. As these are 2 broadly similar bikes, there are going to be a few more mentions of the Cannondale System 6 in this video. So, if you want to see my full in-depth review of that bike, then click on the card above or the link in the description. Back to the Orca Aero, and another thing which has impressed me is that it handles very confidently. The geometry is similar to that of the Cannondale System 6, and like that bike, the Orca Aero feels nimble, racy and sharp. It's exciting to ride without ever tipping over into feeling twitchy or unruly. I didn't get on perfectly with the shape of the handlebar. It's a very elegant piece of carbon kit, and I like the way the hydraulic cables route underneath rather than through the bar in a small channel. However, the rear edges of the heavily aero profile tops kept hitting my bony wrists when sprinting out of the saddle in the drops, while still covering the brake levers, which was a little bit painful and a little bit annoying. I think the aero section could taper down towards the drops a little bit earlier, as it does on the Felt AR's Devox carbon aero handlebar, just to improve wrist clearance a little bit more. Fortunately, if you don't get on with the shape of the aero handlebar, the Orca Aero uses a standard round 31.8mm stem clamp, so you're not bound to it to life. You could swap it for your preferred handlebar without any trouble. Overall, comfort levels were otherwise very impressive though. The supple 700x25C Vittoria Corsa TLR tyres spread out to just under 28mm wide on the Shimano wheels, and the bike never felt overly harsh, even on the poor quality roads we have here in the southwest of England. Some of that can perhaps be attributed to a smart carbon layup and drop seat stays, but the tyre volume and a great saddle doubtless make a much greater difference in this regard. If you need even more comfort, the Orca Aero officially has space for tyres up to 30mm wide too. One area the Orbea Orca Aero doesn't really impress is in terms of weight. Now, for those of you counting grams, my size 57cm test bike, equipped with its Aero water bottle and storage box, weighs 8.3 kilos according to my scales. With pedals and a bike computer then, you're looking at a bike that's easily over 8.5 kilos on the road. That 8.3 kilos is 700 grams more than the 7.6 kilograms Orbea claimed in its press materials for this model when the bike was launched. Given the size of this disparity, I had BikeRadar's friendly mechanic and product tester, Will Poole, weigh it using his scales as well, just to check mine weren't wrong. Now his scales said at 8.25 kilos, a 0.6% difference and well within a reasonable margin of error. So when I put this to Orbea, it said the 7.6 kilogram figure was actually for a size 53 centimeter bike without the Aero Bottle or storage box and with one of the lightweight, raw carbon and clear coat paint jobs. It also confirmed to me that when it had weighed my test bike before sending it out to me, it weighed 8.24 kilos on their scales. Compared to the competition, that's still around 350 grams heavier than the size 58 centimeter Cannondale System 6 I tested earlier this year, which, as already mentioned, has deeper, wider wheels. Given the size medium Canyon Aero CFR I tested last year weighed almost a full kilo less than this, I'd also expect an equivalent version to still weigh a decent chunk less too. Honestly though, I'd be lying if I said I could really feel the difference while riding. You could shed some weight by converting to a tubeless setup, which would also reduce the rolling resistance a bit too, but this is never going to be a dedicated hill climb bike. Whether any of that really matters on a full fat aero road bike is debatable. Personally, I don't really think it does, but your mileage may vary, so let us know what you think in the comments below. One of my biggest gripes with aero road bikes is that the component sizes don't always chime with the bike's stated intentions. Too often, and this is more of an issue on larger size bikes, you'll get an absurdly wide handlebar and long cranks, neither of which are particularly conducive to an aerodynamically optimised bike fit, with no option to change them. Fortunately, Orbea offers extensive customisation options through its Myo program, which solves this issue in one fell swoop. For example, my test bike came equipped with a standard 42 centimeter wide handlebar and 172.5mm cranks, but were I parting with my own cash, I could opt for a narrower 38, 36 or even 40 centimeter wide handlebar and different length cranks. Now, for the record, I would choose a 55 centimeter frame with a 120mm stem, a 36 centimeter handlebar and 170mm cranks. I definitely want a Garris custom paint job as well, perhaps in Bristol South CC or BikeRadar kit colours. I think that would be about perfect for me. So if anyone at Orbea headquarters is watching this and feeling exceptionally generous, don't hesitate to get in touch. Customisation options like this are likely to increase the lead time for getting your bike delivered, but rather incredibly, it doesn't come at any extra cost unless you opt for component upgrades along the way. All things considered, Orbea has done a fantastic job updating its dedicated aero road bike. It has a well thought out design which expertly balances practicality and speed, with a level of adjustability similar to a standard road bike and customisation options galore. The Orca Aero is a bike I would genuinely love to own. The Aero Bottle and Storage Box may seem a little gimmicky at first glance, but the latter is genuinely useful, even if the former was a slight miss for me. If you're buying the bike with a view to doing time trials or triathlons, you might actually love the Aero Bottle more than I did anyway. I'll accept that the increased weight is likely to be a sticking point for some, especially at this price point, but the Orca Aero is a bike which doesn't feel heavy on the road, and physics suggests it doesn't usually make that much difference against the clock either. But what do you think about the new Orca Aero? Would the weight put you off? Would you be willing to compromise on aerodynamics if this bike could have been made lighter? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And as always, another reminder not to forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell icon so that every time we upload a new video, you'll get a notification.